I'm a failure, but let me tell you how I'll succeed. How many people in here have ever failed before? How many people in here have failed more than once? How many people are not going to raise their hand no matter what question I ask? So I remember from childhood to about my middle 20s being told I was going to be a failure. From growing up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, being told by the age of 21 I'll be dead or in jail. I remember being racially profiled on my way to high school, not wondering was I going to go to jail. It's the middle of the winter time, 7 a.m. in the morning, and a cop pulls me over as I'm walking to high school and tells me I fit the description of someone that robbed a bank yesterday. I can remember, in high school failing, algebra, not wondering what I was going to do when I go to college. I can remember being a college dropout. I can remember moving to Las Vegas, Nevada in 2005 and being homeless my first 3 months. I can remember, gaining gainful employment, but eventually leaving that job because I bought into entrepreneurship. I invested every single dollar I had into a franchise that went horribly wrong. And after that franchise went horribly wrong, I got sued civilly. So not only did I lose all of my money I invested into the franchise, I also had been sued for over $50,000 by the franchise owner. And then after that, I remember trying to start multiple different businesses that failed horribly. But one of the things that I learned is that I did not let that failure define me. One of the things that I learned is that I had to have a different perception of what failure is. And so what I did was I had to go back and reset and learn the things that failure is not. Because a lot of times, one of the reasons that we fail is because we have the wrong perception of what failure is. So one of the first things that I learned is that failure is not avoidable. No matter what you do, you are going to fail. It takes me back to the time when my son was just 10 months old and me wanting to, carry him everywhere. But he was trying to learn how to walk. But every single time I saw him fall, I would run and try to go and pick him up. I had to let him go through that process of failing to fall down so that way he can eventually learn how to walk on his own. So you have to go through that. Failure is not avoidable. One of the next things I learned is that failure is not an event. A lot of times we think that failure is the end of the world, but failure is just a process. And a lot of times that process is due to the negligence of the things that we fail to prepare for. I can remember, failing algebra in high school, like I mentioned. But I failed algebra because I didn't prepare. I didn't study. I just tried to skate by. So again, failure it's just a process that you have to go through. Failure is not objective. Understanding, failure doesn't have feelings. One of the things that I learned is that when you're going through these motions, you have to go through them unemotionally and take it in stride. The next thing that I learned is that failure is not irreversible. A lot of times we feel that if we make a mistake, that life is over. How many people in here have made a mistake before? You're still here, right? Absolutely. It's those mistakes is what helps propel us through life. It's those mistakes is what helps us get through to the next hurdle. It's those mistakes that help us get through the next feat. One of the things that I learned through my many, many, many failures, especially when I bought into that franchise where I lost my money that I invested and I was sued civilly. What happened is that I walked away from that business because I found out that the franchise owner was actually being criminally indicted. He was being investigated by the FBI, and to this day is still going through, some type of criminal formalities. And so what one may have deemed that as a failure, I actually walked away from a blessing because I could have been caught up in that. So understanding that failure is just our perception. What is your perception of failure? And so I constantly remind myself that whenever I'm going through something that others may deem as a failure, it's just one step closer to me achieving my goals. And the last thing that I found is that failure is not final. Understanding that because we think that when we have a failure, when we have a mishap, when we make a mistake, we get criminalized, we get condemned, people laugh at us and all these different things. But that's when you have to go through life with blinders on and understand that no matter what you failed at, it's not final. You know, all of the things that I failed at, I've had several failed businesses, several failed friendships and relationships and different things like that. And I'm standing here today to let you know that from all of the different failures that I had, that I've learned from, to now being able to go on a national city tour to go and help educate thousands of families and individuals across the country. On my way to being a best-selling author of my first book, one of many, to being a successful entrepreneur, creating two multi-million-dollar businesses in less than 3 years. And so one of the things that I've learned with all of those different successes is that failure is just the price you pay for success. I'm going to say that again. Failure is just the price you pay for success. And understanding that a lot of times people assume success is supposed to be easy. Nobody ever said success would be easy. You have to go through the things. And then what I'm going to leave you guys with is that never wish that things were easier. Wish that you were better. My name is Roundtree. Thank you.